Suits were made for wealthy people in those days. People who had some money and people who were that status to wear suits. Local Singaporeans did not wear suits because at the time they were quite poor. They did not have money to go for luxurious suits and all that. I did not belong to the group of people who wear suits.
With each cut, stitch and seam, a suit jacket takes shape. It's a measured and meticulous process requiring patience and perseverance, qualities found in Max Mohan and fellow Singaporeans born in the 1950s. Through a turbulent era, they sacrificed and toiled in a young and volatile Singapore. Like the stitches that carry a suit, theirs were the hands that shaped the nation.
I come to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Then I start going through my order books to check and see what has to be done, what is incompleted, what is completed, in which collections has been done, what customers are coming here, how to see them, how to make everything.
Mohan Narwani, or Max as he's more commonly known, has been a mainstay here at Far East Plaza since it opened in 1982. There were 26 tailoring shops back then. Today, only 11 remain. Max has run his business for over 30 years now, and at 68, he's still going strong.
Yeah, I do all the buying myself. Everything down here is done by me. All the purchasing, selling mainly, everything, whatever I do. Organizing, make sure everything is right.
Mohan's Custom Tailors started as a one-man show with Max handling every aspect of the business. Today, it has grown, and Max has 6 employees to share his workload. But some things never change.
Make you look like James Bond.
Max can still be found at the shop daily, giving customers his undivided attention.
The stitching all done here.
Perfect.
These are the other shirts, sir, and the trousers. Navy blue. Not as fine as the other one.
Fine is okay.
This is a little bit thicker,
Yeah,
better
maybe,
quality.
Yeah. The black one was...
This is nice with the white shirt, is it? Blue and white always goes very well.
Yeah.
Even the light blue.
Yes.
See? I know them by faces, by names. So when they come here, you remember them from far. They're very happy that you know them personally, you know. That's why I have to be here every day. If you find any customer not happy here, I'm always here to make sure everything is right. One moment, huh?
Max developed a knack for business early on in life. But then, being an entrepreneur was almost expected of him.
See, I'm born as a Sindhi. Sindhi people are born business people.
Sindhis are a minority Indian group in Singapore. It's a tightly knit community.
Hello. Sabko Ram Ram Ram. Today is a very special day because 3 of us are celebrating the birthday together. Shambhu, Kevin and myself, Max. Cheers!
The one who are in the 60s, we grew up together from childhood days, from school days, from teenage days. We used to play marbles together.
In a time well before PCs and smartphones, these were the games of Max's childhood. Growing up in a landscape that was largely rural, kids of the 1950s and 60s required little to keep them entertained, except for the imagination and inventiveness. While the children bonded over games, the adults were busy making a living. And for the Sindhis, one place in particular holds a special spot in their hearts. Before the cool kids made Orchard Road fashionable, there was High Street. It was Singapore's main shopping belt in the 1950s and 60s. High Street was where Singapore's Cindy's sunk roots and thrived as traders of jewelry, textiles, fashion and more.
Customers from all over the world used to come to Singapore because Singapore was in the right area to buy goods from, having many traders bringing in goods or textiles from all over the world.
After a weekend spent reminiscing the past with his friends, Max is feeling nostalgic. So today, he's taking a rare break from work to go back to the place where his entrepreneurial dreams took shape. Perched on the eastern tip of Singapore by the sea and unblocked by high-rises, Changi Village has a sleepy, resort-like vibe about it. This was where Max spent his childhood and teenage years. But Max struggles to find anything in Changi Village that reminds him of his past. The place has changed. And for Max, change isn't all bad.
There was no hawker center then. It was small stalls, you know, near the cinema. There was an old cinema here. Outside the cinema, there used to be a few hawker shops, you know, very few, maybe 4 or 5 stalls, that's all. Now it's vast, very big. I think this hawker center has got more than 100 here. So much variety. Changi Village was called RAF Changi, Royal Air Force Changi. It was under the British rule. So that was the air base, Royal Air Force Base in Changi, where we small shopkeepers used to cater to them, to all the soldiers who just came from England, settled there for 2-3 years.
Before the British Army arrived, Changi was a swampland. With the Royal Air Force setting up their base here, the resident British population began to make Changi their home. Shops, services and more fill the area, with Max's family business amongst them.
Okay, this was my father's shop. I used to stay over. All the shops from the first to the 5th shop, we were occupying 3 of the shops here and the house on top. But it was not like this. This is a bit modern. Those days, the shop and house were made from wood. Because the RAF personnel was stationed here, so they used to come here for provisions, electronics, cameras, radios, watches, tailor shops.
And young, impressionable Max, who spent his after-school hours hanging out at the family's tailor and electronics shop, managed to pick up some useful skills from the British soldiers.
We learned a lot of things from them. The way they speak, the English way of speaking, although our English is different from their English. They have the Queen's English, you know, where they say, "Do you know who you're talking to?" But of course, you know, absolutely models, I must say, you know that. You're from England, are you? Have you been to England? Do you know me? This is how it works. You learn to their lingo.
Max started learning the lingo and the skills of business when he was 15. With his training in the school of life in full swing, school, in the formal sense, took a back seat.
During my time, education was not that important. I mean, basic education, like, you know, just to can speak and you can calculate. Back then, it was very common for the elder brothers or sisters to leave the education to let their other brothers and sisters to study. People were poor. Small education was good enough.
Education to Max had no part to play in his goal. After all, he would inherit the family's business. So at 16, Max left school and started working full-time in the family business.
I prefer to have my sales experience more than my education. Because I know my sales education can bring me money, can bring me that fortune what I want, rather than studying and waiting to be something else. My goal was to take over my father's shop and make it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Max held on to that dream throughout his teenage years and 2 years of national service. till the inevitable occurred.
December 1971, the Union Jack was lowered for the last time at Changi Air Base.
The withdrawal of British troops was the first major crisis Singapore faced as an independent nation. With 56 British military bases in Singapore contributing to 20% of the GDP at the time, tens of thousands of jobs were at stake. These included civilian workers at the bases, maids who served in British households, and of course, shops and businesses that survived on the patronage of British soldiers.
George Chung, proprietor of a camera shop, describes the situation shortly after the pullout.
The general feeling is the future for them was rather unstable because they couldn't foresee what is going on for the next few years. And in fact, when they did withdraw after the first year, the business in the area was rather quiet.
The crisis hit home hard for Max and his family. Without the British soldiers, RAF Changi became a dead town.
When I came back from the army, my father's shop was already closed. So I had big dreams before that. But the dream did not come through because there was no shop behind.
With the RAF airbase out of Singapore in 1971, the British withdrawal was complete. The 1970s saw Singapore work fast and hard to recover from the void left by the British. As for RAF Changi, it was renamed Changi Village, and wooden shophouses were replaced by the concrete two-story buildings standing today. New shops like Mr. Wong's Goodman Fashion started to move in around 1979. But since then, even those shops are long gone, leaving Goodman Fashion to be the last man standing.
When I was walking down the stretch of all the restaurants here, suddenly I found Goodman Tailor. For me, it was shocking to find a tailor here. There's only one tailor in Changi Village, right? So it's very, very good that I found one of my competitors here in Changi Village. You've been here, this shop here, a long time here?
Same, I started the business in 1979 or 78.
And who are the customers now?
So local.
Local, huh?
Local.
You can't buy, huh?
Yeah.
That's very good. I also doing 70-80% local.
Yeah, locals.
There's better customers now because you have them all the time here.
It doesn't take much for Max to hit it off with Mr. Wong. Same industry, same memories of Changi, almost same age. Both in their 60s, Max and Mr. Wong share many of the same values. Values that saw them hanging on to the same job despite ups and downs over the decades.
那时候环境很差，比较穷，所以我们有东西做，我们学了过后，我们就发挥，就做，没有想其他东西，我们一定要做，就是做，我们要赚饭吃，过日子。我们这一代Merdeka的人做事情是一做就做到底，没有想东，没有想西。我们不想，哎呀，要换什么方向没有的，我们一做就做到。 时间有多长就多长，做到我们不能做就退休为止。我们没有想其他东西。
Changi Village today is unlike the RAF Changi of Max's memories. Except for this jetty and the Sri Rama Hindu temple.
The temple is still the same. Small temple, only thing we have got bigger.
Thanks to old structures like this temple, Max is able to relive his childhood memories. The paint is wearing out. The cracks are showing. But the images of a young Max playing on the beach and harboring dreams of taking over his father's shop remain as vivid as ever.
The place has changed. What has not changed is my heart and my memories. They are still there. That cannot change. Place can change, but your memories cannot change.
As the owner of Mohan's Custom Tailors, Max gets to interact with his customers every day, It's something he's enjoyed doing since he was a teenager.
What do you like this one?
Yeah,
Why do you like this color?
I can be matching with you.
Very good. Not too fast.
He knew that he had a passion for doing sales. So when his father gave up the family shop back in 1972, Max wasted no time pursuing Plan B.
I cannot be a doctor or engineer when I got no education. So I had to find somewhere where I can do selling. The pen, how the pen? Talking, I like to talk. I like to sell. So I went for an interview at Mohan department store. I was accepted. I started talking there.
Singapore was an attractive shopping destination in the 1970s. Without import duties or sales tax, prices were kept low. Cheap buys, coupled with an increased effort by the Singapore government to boost tourist numbers, saw its visitor arrivals increase from 100,000 in 1965 to 1.3 million per year by the late 1970s.
Aman, you know your grandpa, last time used to work in a departmental store like this, selling cameras, selling radios, selling watches, selling jewelry, selling everything.
Did you sell the best?
I sell only the best. Always the best. Nothing but the best. You understand?
Yeah.
We had 52 different departments selling watches, radios, cameras, so many items. And we used to specialize in different races coming to us. Within 3-4 months, I could speak in multiple languages, because I had an interest in meeting people and talking people. So today, 1 to 10 in Chinese. Sansa ulu cikpat syusa. If you say Malay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When they come to me, first question, where are you from? Say, from France. Oh, bonjour, monsieur, comment allez-vous? If a Chinese man will come, I'll talk to him in Mandarin or Hokkien, Oh, esa kong ha? Esa, what's the Singapore lang ma? He will sit down there. He'll feel very comfortable listening to me.
What sets Mohans apart from other department stores of their time was their willingness to go the extra mile for customers. John Bosco remembers that legendary customer service till this day.
Hey, John.
Thanks.
How are you, man?
You actually brought people from the airport right down to your shop here in Mohan's here, and you used to treat them like very lavishly.
Yes.
Even offering them a beer and stuff like
sandwiches.
that. You also used to bring them to the zoo or bird park.
Yes. What we used to do is we used to look after customers so well.
Yeah.
Then they go back home and start recommending us.
John Bosco is in charge of the consumer experience here at Robinson's, one of Singapore's most iconic department stores. So he's able to appreciate the effort put in by Max and his colleagues at Mohan's.
These were hard-working people. At that time, Singapore, in the early 60s, was a poor nation. We had just come out of independence. We didn't have that. Many of them actually finished O-levels. There was not much jobs. So a lot of things to do was to go into business, make the best out of it, buy and sell, and that was their stock trade. So very few of Mr. Max's we're going to see anymore.
Max enjoyed 12 great years at Mohan's department store. His career was stable and his family grew. But good times didn't last.
Every National Day, I reported progress. This year, for the first time, I have to sound an alert. We had minus 1.4% growth in the second quarter.
In 1985, Singapore had its first economic recession. More than 100,000 jobs were lost. The construction industry was hardest hit, but shockwaves spread across all sectors. Mohan's department store ended its run.
I did not know whether I can get a job. I did not know whether we can survive or myself be happy in another place as much as I've been happy here.
As he mourned the loss of a stable career, Max remembered his dream of running his own shop. At 20 and fresh out of the army, he was penniless. But now, with a family depending on him, the stakes were higher, and the desire to succeed also stronger than ever. Max was willing to take a gamble.
I started looking for a shop because I had a little bit of money to start something. But I know that if I work for somebody else now, I will not be as comfortable as I was in Mohan department store. So I decided to put my shop name Mohan's and make me feel that I'm still here. I was definitely scared to open my own business, not knowing whether I'll be able to make it or I'll lose. If you don't take risks, you never know what you're going to have.
Mohan's custom tailors broke even within months and soon became a profitable enterprise with a loyal customer base. But Max's success came with sacrifices.
While growing up, we were upset not seeing my father around as he was working. I think my father's a hard worker because he devotes all his time to work. He rarely takes a day off or work, right, to ensure that the family is comfortable.
It's a sacrifice because some people, they don't want to work as much, but they want to spend time with their family. How's the house? Is it comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's nice.
I want to work more, but I didn't care much for them because I know later on they'll get it back from me.
3 decades of hard work is definitely paying dividends now, but Max is still not slowing down yet. The shop is his second home, and if he's not at the shop like today, he's out visiting his tailor, checking in on the latest batch of orders.
This one, the body, I want to ask you, pattern macam?
Pattern normal lah.
Two button,
single blaster, 2 button, 1 band. Kasih bagus punya kerja lah. Cho ho. Mesti mau jaga. Bikin kerja baik-baik. Mahal punya kain.
Like any business, success depends on more than just delivering a good product. It also takes strong relationships and trusting partnerships. Koh has been Max's tailor since the beginning.
We have known each other about more than 35 years.
Correct.
And you are younger than me.
Yeah, correct.
How old are you?
You see me?
63. I'm 68, no. 5 years you're senior. We work together, but you know, we have grown older together, no? From young kids, young boys, to now old age.
我从年轻人，我见到他，他人不错，很好，他就跟我沟通，他问我做 tailor 啊，讲是啊，他讲可以找我，我会 support 你，这样给你做很多 order，我们就很 plan 这样一起做起来这样
As partners, Max and Mr. Koh went through their fair share of rough patches together. With the 1985 economic downturn and SARS outbreak in 2003 being the most trying episodes, orders dipped and their cash flow was severely affected.
I worked very hard those days, very, very difficult times, because I knew that I can come out back to my beautiful self again. So I was going through a very difficult time, not much food, no money.
他跟我解释过，这个生意他一定会锁下去，因为他讲这个生意他一定会倒回来的。
Merdeka. It means independence. It rallies for freedom. And with that comes years of uncertainty, of building up Singapore from scratch. Max and his generation of Singaporeans may have been too young to remember Singapore's fight for freedom. Yet theirs is the generation that had to pay the price that Merdeka entails, to safeguard this freedom for generations to come.
You know, Singapore itself has been down and up, so we have grown together with them. You can lose whatever you have, but never lose your confidence. If you lose your confidence, that's the end.